moment at Candlestick Park as Dave Dravecky, the talented left-hander, throws out the first pitch with his right hand. And you can understand why. Great way to start what should be a great weekend. And here's the lineup for the Cubs. Jerome Walton in center field, Ryne Sandberg at second, Dwight Smith in left field, and Mark Grace at first. Then you have Andre Dawson, Luis Salazar, and Sean Dunston, Joe Girardi, and Rick Sutcliffe. On the mound, Mike LaCosse. He's won his last 3 starts and was 10-10 with the year, 1-1 with the Cubs. It's funny how many stories link up in this playoff. Mike LaCosse is pitching tonight because Don Robinson has a bad knee. In 1987, LaCosse had won 13 but hurt his knee, and who replaced him in the LCS? Don Robinson. So it's come full circle.
LaCosse has been very versatile for the Giants. He's pitched out of the bullpen. He's pitched in the starting rotation. He has the kind of arm and stamina to be able to do both jobs.
In there.
You look at his record of the last 2 years here at Candlestick. In the last 2 years, he's made 20 starts. And those 20 starts at Candlestick, his record's been 13-3 with an earned run average just a fraction over 2.5. So he has been very effective here at Candlestick.
Fouled away off to the right and back into the crowd. 2-2 to Jerome Walton. The Cubs, the best road record on the road in the National League, tied with Oakland for honors in the major leagues. They hit more home runs on the road than in the so-called friendly confines. 2-2. Got him on the corner.
Mike LaCosse will feature a couple of fastballs, a breaking ball, and a split finger. And there's a split finger. Looks like it's going to be high out of the strike zone, and all of a sudden the bottom falls out of it. Jerome Walton gave up on the pitch. That's the amazing thing about this split-fingered fastball, that all of a sudden it will drop so quickly. You can see it on the outside corner. Walton just simply gave up on the ball, and then boom, fell right down into the strike zone. Terry Tata behind the plate rings Walton up.
Mike LaCosse against a fellow who has given him a bad time, Ryne Sandberg. Sandberg hitting over .430 against LaCosse in his career. This year, Sandberg hit .400 here. Good breaking ball. Strike 2. Boy, that was a mean breaking ball that made Sandberg quit on it and back off.
Nasty breaking ball when you consider that most of the hits that Sandberg has in this series have all come on fastballs, and don't think Mike LaCosse doesn't know that.
0-2. Half swing. They're checking with first base umpire Jim Quick. No swing, and Roger Craig out to appeal.
I think the question here is whether the ball was caught by Terry Kennedy or whether they think it was a foul tip and then caught in the air. The question mark for the first base umpire Jim Quick said no. Here you see the pitch was a split-fingered fastball, and it's no catch, and it was a catch. The ball never hit the ground. Here you see the pitch from the center field camera. Again, whether it's ruled a foul tip and then the ball hit the ground, then it's a foul ball. Regardless, if it's a swing and a miss, it doesn't make any difference. You can see LaCosse making the appeal.
1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Just the start of things. No score. Craig, along with Norm Sherry, sitting in the far corner of the dugout. He doesn't sit down too often in that giant dugout. Normally he stands throughout the game. 2-2. Roger got a lot of telegrams wishing him good luck. One of them was signed by the Grateful Dead, and Roger thought that was a funeral home. But his young players informed him otherwise. 2-2. Shot back to third, smothered by Matt Williams. High throw, and Sandberg is aboard, but Williams took a double away from Ryan Sandberg. Base hit naturally.
Matt Williams playing beautiful defense in Wrigley Field in Chicago, and he continues it here. Great play to his right, a good strong throwing arm just high to first base. Good hustle by Sandberg down the line, and the official scorer gives Sandberg a base hit. Good throw would have gotten him.
Time for the moment. Mike Lacoste over to say something to Matt Williams, and Dwight Smith the batter. Smith struggling so far, hitting just 125, 1 for 8. Runner starts to go, then checks and goes back to the bag on a base hit to left field, and the Cubs were really confused on that. Sandberg started, stopped, went back towards first as the ball was hit to left field. He turned his back on it, and for a split second, he didn't know what had happened. Watch.
Don't know whether Sandberg was just giving a good fake or whether he slipped on that second step on what probably was a hit and run. It could have been an outstanding fake. Nonetheless, going back, he put his head down. There was no way he would have gotten to third. The ball by Dwight Smith hit too hard. Probably on the second step, he slipped coming off, heading towards second base.
This is going to be a very interesting battle now with Mark Grace, with runners at first and second, because with a slumping Andre Dawson on deck, you wonder just how many strikes Mark Grace will get. 1 ball and no strikes. Slicing fly ball down in the corner, going foul and out of play. How do you pitch to Mark Grace? Well, veteran Mike Lacoste has studied him, has pitched against him, and this is what he said about how to pitch to him.
Start him off with off-speed stuff, hopefully, and get ahead of him that way, and then go with the hard stuff away and have my defense play him away. I don't think he can hit the ball out of the ballpark against me here with the kind of movement that I have on my fastball.
So Mark Grace 2 on, hitting .750 in the LCS. And he strokes it to left, but Mitchell coming up to flag it, and Sandberg back to the bag.
Exactly what Mike Lacoste said. Pitch him away, playing him. Remember, he hit a home run in game number 1 in Wrigley Field. I talked to Mike Lacoste about that before the game. Said, listen, this is a totally different ballpark. The wind was blowing out in Wrigley Field. He does not think that Mark Grace has enough power to hit the ball out to left field in Candlestick Park. Totally different situation. Kevin Mitchell in left field was way around toward left field, and now with Andre Dawson coming up, and outfield gets way back, playing very defensively.
The Hawk has been unable to get off the ground. He is 0 for 7. He has been an outman, an escape hatch for the Giants, and we'll see now if they can use him again. Strike. In Dawson's at-bats, he had one string where he struck out 4 consecutive times. Did not hit the ball out of the infield in the first game nor in the second game. No balls, 1 strike.
They pitched Andre Dawson tougher than anybody else in the Chicago Cub lineup. He simply has had not one pitch. He's had one pitch to hit. He hit it foul in game number 2 at Wrigley Field. He hasn't had anything else to hit. This is a split-fingered fastball. The bottom will drop out. They have continued to throw on the sliders and the breaking balls down and away, and have not given in with a fastball to Dawson.
In the dirt, it's going to go to the backstop, and the runners will move up. Sandberg to third and Smith to second with 2 out, and the count 1-2. Well, in 1987, when he hit a ton of home runs with first base open, you know they'd put him on. But he has been struggling, and the count is 1-2.
That is the choice Mike Lacoste will have in this situation. A lot of times you go with simply how a hitter is hitting. Is he hot? Is he cold? Certainly in this situation, if Dawson had been hot, you put him on. Lacoste will choose to pitch to him here.
1-2. time. He's going to ask Kennedy to go over the signs again. Line drive, base hit, and the Hawk is still the Hawk. And the Cubs lead 2-0. So what a costly wild pitch. And Andre Dawson does what he used to do best, come up with a timely hit.
One of the things about a good hitter, a great hitter, is that he will take advantage of mistakes. It's really only the second pitch in the entire series that Dawson has had that he could hit hard. The other one he hit foul in Wrigley Field we talked about before. This one, the split-fingered fastball that simply does not get down. Lacoste trying to go down and away. He didn't get it there.
1 ball and no strikes to Luis Salazar. In almost 1,000 regular season games, Salazar had 27 triples, and in 9 postseason games he has a couple. Remember, he came from San Diego. Good breaking ball. 1-1. Kennedy caught that pitch a little awkwardly. I wonder if he wasn't crossed up.
Could have been crossed up or simply great movement on the split finger. The split finger fastball can be very unpredictable. You don't know when it is going to move and in which way. Sometimes it'll go straight down, sometimes it'll go down and away. The movement on the split finger is very abrupt, and that's the key to the pitch, staying on top of it, making sure that you get out in front and keep your fingers on top of the ball, and you have to get your hand out front to throw the ball. There you can see Lacoste grips it that way every time. It doesn't mean that he's throwing that pitch.
Driven down the left field line, foul and out of play. There's an interesting trend in this league championship series. The Cubs scored twice in the first inning of game 1. They scored 6 times in the first inning of game 2, and they've scored twice in the first inning tonight. That's 10 runs in the first inning in the 3 games. 1-2.
Dawson at first base, 8 out of 13 in stolen bases. He has had a knee operation this year. One thing about this series, both Wrigley Field and Candlestick, natural grass, no artificial surface, and Andre loves that.
1-2 the count. Andre Dawson, who just knocked in 2 runs, and the Cubs leading the Giants 2-0. For Mike Lacoste, this will be his 23rd pitch in this first inning. There goes Dawson, hit and run foul ball off to the right, out of play.
Anytime Don Zimmer got a chance to rest Andre Dawson during the season, it was generally when the ball club would be on a road trip and would have back-to-back towns in which they'd be playing on the artificial surface, where they go to Philadelphia and then Montreal or Pittsburgh. Zim tried to keep his right fielder off of the artificial surface as much as he possibly could.
Dawson not going, and it's flagged by Clark. So Salazar lines out to Will Clark. The Cubs 2 runs, 3 hits. A big wild pitch and a big base hit by Andre Dawson. Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy, Maldonado, Uribe, and Lacoste. And on the mound, someone who looks like a misplaced Viking, Rick Sutcliffe. 6 feet 7 inches tall, a 16-game winner during the year. And that's ball 1. To break down his record, you find he was most successful on the road, 11-4, but particularly on AstroTurf, where he was 9-1. The bunt up along third, foul, and the count 1-1.
True to form, Don Zimmer has continued to try to take the bunt away from Brett Butler. Butler with 23 bunt singles this year, over 20 last year. Salazar way in at third. Grace way in at first. And these 2 Chicago Cubs, Brett Butler says, are the best on the right field side of the diamond in preventing the bunt base hit. They do a switch in the sense that Grace will go to the ball if Butler bunts it to the right side, and Sandberg will come all the way to first base. He said they work that play the best of anybody in the National League.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. One thing about Butler, at least in the previous 2 games, he has hit 5 balls the other way. Grounded out twice to the shortstop. And game 2 hit 3 fly balls to left field. And when he is behind in the count, that's usually the way he goes. His base hit went to left field. Fouled away. 2-2. The scouting report on Butler reads this way.
Natural inside-out hitter. Try to make him pull. You throw weak. He is weak on the off-speed stuff. You would throw him the off-speed stuff to try to make him to pull. You can't make him to pull too much if, in fact, you're going to play your outfield all the way around to left. Fastball hard on the hands, and as Vinny said, with 2 strikes, he will definitely try to go to left field.
2-2. Ball 3. Butler during the regular year walked 59 times. Add his hits and you realize he scored 100 runs, and he was the ideal leadoff man. 3-2. And he went to left field. Butler's first base hit in his first at-bat in game 1 was a ground ball single to left, and 3-2 he just laid the bat on it. Now you have Robbie Thompson, Will Clark, and Kevin Mitchell. In game 1, and it shouldn't apply here, Thompson sacrificed after Butler's single. But here in game 3, the Giants are home and down 2-0 in the first inning. They play a lot of hit and run with Robbie Thompson. It almost seems like a contradiction because you usually play a lot of hit and run with a contact hitter. And Thompson has struck out 133 times. Breaking ball missed.
If Roger Craig wants to play hit and run with Thompson, he'll usually do it in a kind of a count. If you see Bill Fahey flashing the signs, getting something, maybe a signal from Roger Craig, he'll do it when he feels Thompson will get a fastball. Rick Sutcliffe will normally pitch a very slow ball game. He'll go deep in the count. Remember the single that Butler got, a 3-2 count. He will nibble, he will peck, he will shoot for the corners, he'll throw to first base a lot, he will throw a lot of pitches.
2-0 the count. Roger Craig, like all the managers before him here at Candlestick, always standing in the dugout. We don't want to embarrass one of the former managers. But when the wind is blowing, I remember a Giant manager standing there hollering to his catcher, a lot of room on a foul ball, and it hit him right on top of the head. 2 balls, no strikes. On deck, Will Clark. Cubs 2 base hits, a wild pitch, and with 2 out, a single by Andre Dawson.
Jerome Walton playing way around in the left field side of second base and center field. Thompson has good power to right center, more or less an alley hitter. There you can see Walton way over toward left field.
In there. I think most managers feel that the best hit and run count is 2 balls and 1 strike. You assume that takes the pitch out away from the pitcher. So let's see if this happens to be a Roger Craig favorite count. 2-1. Butler with 31 stolen bases during the regular year, so they'll really keep an eye out on him.
Rick Sutcliffe saying that Roger Craig has put a lot of running plays on against him.
And they think he's going, and he took a big lead that time.
With pretty good reason, too, because Brett Butler was going. You've got to remember, San Francisco Giants with 87 stolen bases on the year. Of all the stolen bases they had, Brett Butler tried a third of them. So he is the mainstay of their running game.
2-1. And they're still after him. Rick Sutcliffe has gone head-to-head with Don Zimmer many times. Most recently in the last month of the season, where they disagreed on the pitches that he was making. Big chopper into the hole, flagged by Dunston. The long throw, not in time.
No chance to get Robbie Thompson. He just runs too well. A high chopper. Thompson with good speed. You got to remember he had 11 triples during the regular season. He can fly. And even with an arm like Sean Dunston has, he had no chance on the hit and run. Butler going to second. Too much speed on the bases for the Giants for Dunston to do anything.
So Will Clark, hitting .625, climbs in with a chance to hurt. Ball one. Sutcliffe has had pretty good success against Will Clark. Clark hitting just .185 against him, but that doesn't mean league championship conditions. 1-0. Butler at second, Thompson at first, nobody out. 2-0 Chicago. Bouncer back to Sutcliffe, but it got away from him. And he nips Clark at first base. If he handles that ball cleanly, he might have gotten 2. We'll never know. But the runners move up and are now in scoring position.
Good hustle by Rick Sutcliffe after the ball by Clark gets through him. Sutcliffe generally regarded as a decent fielding pitcher. Clark a lot like Don Mattingly. The really only thing that he can't do on the field, he just does not run well. It's well for average, it's well for power, but just not blessed with great speed.
Well, even though Kevin Mitchell represents the go-ahead run, Don Zimmer will put him on. And Mitchell is another fella hitting less than 200 against Sutcliffe. But Zimmer doesn't believe in any book. We were talking about Roger Craig getting telegrams. Zimmer got 3 telegrams from different parts of the country, and each telegram said the same thing. Don't you know you pitch Clark low and away? Here's ball 4. So Matt Williams, who has 2 grand slams this year, will be coming up in a jackpot spot. He had slams against the Reds and the Dodgers this year, and last year he had a grand slam home run against Nolan Ryan when he was with Houston.
Simply playing the percentages here, you can get your infield back. You don't have to play him in. Anytime you can give Kevin Mitchell a free pass and get rid of him, not a bad idea. He had 32 intentional base on balls during the regular season.
Infield bag, double play, Deb. 1 out. Ball 1. So they picked up where they left off, despite the fact there was a day to rest. After scrambling, the Giants beat the Cubs 11-3. The Cubs beat the Giants 9-5, and they're rolling around Candlestick here in the first inning. Breaking ball, another. Sutcliffe can't make the play at third and goes to first. Sutcliffe might have had a play at the plate and took a sizable divot. Lost his balance and almost lost the whole play.
Second play in the inning that Rick Sutcliffe has had. He had a shot at Butler at home if he would have come up cleanly with the ball. He knows once he misses it, his only chance is to turn and get Williams at first base. Like the off-speed pitch, a changeup that ran in on his hands. Well, he's had a couple of chances already in this inning to get himself out of the inning, and he's been lucky to get an out on each ball.
Terry Kennedy had 5 home runs during the regular year. 1 of the 5 he hit against Rick Sutcliffe. So he's up there now with runners at second and third. 2 down. Cubs 2, Giants 1. Ball 1. Boy, Sutcliffe has changed dramatically. He was a power pitcher, a hard thrower. now he has finessed breaking balls, off speed. And now let's see if they're going to put Kennedy aboard, and they will. And they'll take their chances against Maldonado, a right-hand hitter on deck.
That decision coming from the bench, Zim saying no, after you get behind the left-hander on the first pitch, let's put him on first base and go against the right-hander. Rick Sutcliffe said if there is one hitter in the San Francisco Giant lineup that has given me the most trouble, guess who? Candy Maldonado. Forget Clark, forget Mitchell. As far as Sutcliffe is concerned, the most difficult out of the lineup for him has been Maldonado. He's got to face him here with the bases loaded.
Well, it's standing room only here at Candlestick, in the stands and on the field. Candy Maldonado, 9 home runs during the regular year. A little bit of a surprise starter today instead of Pat Sheridan, but Sheridan was struggling. So Thompson at third, Mitchell at second, Kennedy at first, and Maldonado at the plate. Right. No running speed out there with Maldonado and Kennedy especially. Cubs 2, Giants 1, and the chairs aren't warm yet. We're just starting up. Look out. Fastball that really took off. Since he relies so much on his breaking ball now, Sutcliffe really has to use the fastball to drive the hitter off the plate.
You see the fastball up and in. Pitcher has to take control of the inside part of the plate if he wants to control the outside, if he wants to get people out with the breaking ball.
Sutcliffe, like Lacoste, laboring in the first inning. This will be his 24th pitch. 1-1. Ball 2. Ball 3. He is now 1 pitch from walking over the tying run.
Dick Pole on the phone to the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. Not going to waste much time. First inning, we've already had 2 intentional base on balls. Boy, you're talking about looks like a blue army going to work. That's it.
High foul, out of play, and the count 3-2.
3-2, 2 outs. Runners will be going in this situation. Don't be surprised if Sutcliffe tries possibly to do something. Pick the runner off at first. Maybe Mark Grace coming in behind Kennedy at first. Runners on the bases have to make sure that the pitcher is going home in this situation before they take off.
Thompson, Mitchell, and Kennedy ready to go. And the pitch is fouled right into the mask of Joe Girardi. And it remains 3-2. Steve Wilson, the left-hander. Scott Sanderson, the right-hander, in the Chicago bullpen. Here's where Girardi gets one right in the iron. Runners ready to go again. Thompson, Mitchell, Kennedy. There they go. Breaking ball, ball 4.
Dick Pole very upset, obviously, because of the breaking ball 3-2. Remember Rick Sutcliffe at the end of the year having shoulder problems. Took a week off and pitched very well against the Cardinals, and now he has not pitched in 6 days.
Fastball hit off the plate. That's going to be a tough play. No play. and the Giants lead 3-2. The Giants have hit one ball out of the infield, and they've scored 3 runs to lead 3-2.
You can see Uribe right over the top and pounds it right down into the plate. No chance at first, no chance anywhere.
Lacoste, a long fly ball to left, but Smith is there and makes the catch. 9 men come to the plate as Sutcliffe goes to the back of the dugout, and it's 3-2 Giants.
I don't have a blazer on.
Giants 3, Cubs 2 at the end of another wild first inning. It'll be Sean Dunston, Joe Girardi, and then Rick Sutcliffe as each starting pitcher, Mike Lacoste and Rick Sutcliffe, go through the ringer. And for Sutcliffe, particularly a frustrating moment. 3 walks and only 1 ball hit out of the infield, and he has surrendered a 2-0 lead. Let's get an observation from Mike Schmidt. Schmitty?
Yeah, Vinny, I'm down here by the Cubs dugout, and I just want to tell you about the foul territory in this ballpark. I mean, I'm in the Cubs dugout, and I got a good 40 yards to the third baseline, so that'll tell you how much foul territory. Unlike Wrigley, it's the smallest amount of foul territory. You know, Dodger Stadium's got a lot, but here at Candlestick Park, it's amazing the batting averages they've had this year with this much foul territory.
And just another reason why Will Clark actually hit better on the road than he did here at Candlestick Park. But when you hit as well as he hits, Grand Canyon won't stop you. Sean Dunston, Joe Girardi, Rick Sutcliffe. So the Cubs had the momentum and gave it to the Giants. Now they try to recover it. Ball 1.
Sean Dunston hitting under 200 the first couple of months of the season, and after that he was well over 300. Finished at 278. People around the Cubs say that he listens very closely to Andre Dawson for his tips on hitting, learning how to play the game. He's blessed with immense talent, especially playing the defensive position that he plays, and then having to learn offensive well. He has really been taken under the arm of Andre Dawson, and that's kind of his guru from the offensive standpoint.
Foul ball down the right field line, and the count 1-2. If you joined us a little late, Sandberg and Smith singled with 2 out while pitching to Dawson. Lacoste tossed a wild pitch, and then Dawson collected his first hit of the series to drive in 2. The Giants came back and sent 9 men to the plate and picked up 3 runs on 3 hits plus 3 walks. 2-2. Ground ball to the right side. In front of it is Robbie Thompson. 1 away. Joe Girardi, the catcher, will be coming up. Girardi talking about how time flies. Joe was watching the 1984 playoffs from a frat house at Northwestern. Ball 1. And he celebrates his birthday. He'll be 25 on what would be the first day of the World Series. So you have an idea what the present is. 3-2 in favor of the Giants. Second inning. 2-0. There are many who watch Mike Lacoste and remember Roger Craig, the pitcher, and say of all the Giant pitchers, Lacoste would remind you of Roger. A looper over Uribe's head for a base hit. So Girardi, a single to left. So he's 1 for 4 in the LCS, and the batter will be Rick Sutcliffe, who has been a good hitting pitcher down through the years.
Up to Zim in this situation, you certainly would think he would want to get Girardi in a scoring position. Chuck Cottier, the third base coach, will flash the signs down. Matt Williams will come way in at third. The grass in the infield here at Candlestick Park very thick, and very thick in the outfield. It's a slow infield and outfield both.
1 ball and no strikes to Rick as he showed bunt. Do you know that in his rookie year he hit his first major league home run against a brilliant right-hand pitcher named Siebert? Did you know that?
I don't want to hear this.
One ball
they did
and
it
no
to me the
strikes.
other night now. They said talking about when Pilecki came up, they started talking about the last grand slam home run by a Chicago pitcher. Bert Hooton off of guess who? I made that honor as well.
Sutcliffe is also the last Cub pitcher to steal home. He did that last year. 1-0 to Rick. Giants 3, Cubs 2. Top of the second, runner going, hit and run foul. So they had him swinging away.
Good example of the kind of managing that Don Zimmer does. He will try and bunt. He'll try and hit and run. He'll try bunt and run, straight steal. He'll do anything by his own book. Not by a regular book, by his own book. You can never guess what he's going to do. You really have to be ready for almost anything that Zim will come up with.
1-1. Remember, they had Sandberg apparently confused when Smith got the base hit to left field. That looked like a busted hit and run play. So we'll see if they put it on again. Robbie Thompson shading up the middle, so the hole is on the right side. But Matt Williams is not convinced. He's still looking bunt at third. Sutcliffe during the regular year sacrificed 10 times. And he shows bunt and takes high, and when it's high to Sutcliffe, it's high. He's 6'7". His good friend, the former head of the Chicago Bulls, Doug Collins, got him to lose weight. He was up there last year. He was somewhere over 230, maybe closer to 240. He went on a diet, got down to 215. 2-1. The bunt. It'll be Will Clark's play to Robbie Thompson, and on the sacrifice, Girardi moves to second. And they leave it up to Jerome Walton. So Sutcliffe moves his man along. Jerome Walton struck out in the first inning. You know, when people watch Walton, and they'll be looking at him now, and you see that wide open stance, and then he swings that left leg in so that he's in perfect position. But you wonder, since his body is going one way, just as he plans, how he can ever turn on that good inside fastball. But he does.
It's all a matter of timing. He may set up and look very awkward the way he sets up. It's where he goes. Where do his hands go? The first movement of his hands, the first movement of his left shoulder. When he moves, he closes the whole front side and gets his body going right toward the pitcher. He ends up in perfect position. See him there? He's in great position there. His front side is closed. His hands are back. His hands are up. And it's just really a timing mechanism. You can start almost anywhere, but look where he is. Front side closed, and then he takes the pitch.
He started opening up in his second year in pro ball. 1-0.
You know, it's the kind of stance you'd see if a kid came out of high school. They say, listen, you can't hit that way. You got to stand there in a conventional, traditional manner and then close or do the Walt Radiac swing or whatever you want. For him, it works. It's a timing mechanism, and he gets to the right spot before he starts his swing.
2-0 to Jerome Walton. And he fists one into shallow right. Robbie Thompson makes the play. So Lacoste strands the tying run and walks off leading 3-2. Brett Butler bunting up along third, foul to open up the bottom of the second inning, with the Giants leading the Cubs 3-2. When the game started tonight, it was 75 degrees, a zephyr rather than a breeze of 5 miles an hour. Absolutely ideal weather conditions here at Candlestick.
Mike Schmidt and I were out here yesterday about this time, and it was blowing like crazy. It was blowing. It was cold. It's a beautiful night in San Francisco.
High pop fly, and the wind will not play any tricks with it. Mark Grace seals it up. One away. A reminder, join NBC Sports at 12:30 Eastern for NFL Live. Win or lose, the LA Raiders always in the news. O.J. Simpson goes behind the scenes of Team Headline in a special report. Then the leading quarterback in the AFC, Buffalo's Machine Gun Kelly, goes into the Hoosier Dome to battle Eric Dickerson and company. Plus regional action, so check local listings for the game and time in your area. Strike. Robbie Thompson single to the hole at short in the first inning. And that was the beginning of the Giants coming back, having been down 2-0. It's 3-2 San Francisco. Good breaking ball, and the count 0-2. Boy, the bottom dropped out of that one.
Sutcliffe will feature a fastball, curveball, slider, change up. There you see the curveball right over the top. Thompson, a dead fastball hitter.
And the fastball puts him away. A running fastball that seemed to tail off as he chased it. That's one of the few times we've seen Sutcliffe throw a fastball with 2 strikes. He's been throwing a lot of breaking balls, but he went after Robbie Thompson. Now let's see what he does with Will Clark.
They may have gotten a message when he went in between innings. Remember, Candy Maldonado walked on a 3-2 breaking ball. Dick Pohl, the pitching coach for the Chicago Cubs, was livid in the dugout. They want Sutcliffe to challenge more.
You know, earlier we mentioned the fact that Sutcliffe and Zimmer have had some arguments. In fact, Sutcliffe said if Zimmer had hair, he'd be redheaded. And they got into such a holler about his choice of pitches that Sutcliffe finally said to Zimmer, "All right, wise guy, you call my pitches." So Zimmer said, "All right." So then the next game that Sutcliffe started, Zimmer called Sutcliffe's pitches for 2 innings. In the 3rd inning, 2 runners aboard, nobody out. Howard Johnson of the Mets was the hitter, and Zimmer trotted out to the mound. And Sutcliffe said, "Well," and Zimmer said, "You're on your own." And that was the end of calling his pitches.
They'll do it every time.
0-2. Ball 1. I love that crack, though. If he had hair, he'd be redheaded.
What really made Zim mad and Dick Pohl was that they picked up the paper in Chicago, and Sutcliffe said, "I've been pitching with a sore arm for the last month. That's why I've been effective." Neither Pohl nor Zimmer knew anything about it. They read it in the paper. They went through the roof. Had 3 people screaming at each other at the top of their lungs.
1-2 the count to Will Clark. 2 out in the 2nd inning. It's 3-2 Giants. Fouled away. Sutcliffe is not only a fine pitcher, but he is also a fine human being. In 1984, he established the Rick Sutcliffe Foundation. He donates $100 to 2 children's hospitals for every strikeout, and donates at least $100,000 of his salary each year to similar charities. And he's even more generous with his time. He's a worthwhile human being. 1-2. 2-2 to Will Clark. Giants 3 runs, 3 hits. Cubs 2 runs, 4 hits. Clark hit back to the box. It got away from Sutcliffe. He had 2 balls where he might have gotten more important outs. Didn't make the play either time and surrendered the 3. Got him at the knees, and that will do it for Clark and for Thompson and for Butler. And at the end of 2, 3-2 Giants. Will be back after these messages from your local station.
Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and Dr. Pepper bottlers throughout the USA. And by today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Ryne Sandberg, Dwight Smith, and Mark Grace in the 3rd. Giants 3, Cubs 2. Breaking ball missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sandberg ripped one inside third. A great diving stop by Matt Williams to take a double away from him. Matt unable to throw him out, however, and he settled for the single. Chases that one, and the count 1-2.
Every time Sandberg hits the ball hard through this entire series, it's been on a fastball, and the bad swings that he has had have all come on the split finger pitches or the breaking ball.
Well, he's hit for the cycle already in the league championship series, though not in one game. He had a single, double, and home run in game 1, and he had a walk and a triple in game 2. Ryne Sandberg. Two and two. Tried to snap that fastball on the outside corner. 3-2.
There's the split finger, and you see the action on the fastball. The split fingered fastball really can be called a split finger or forkball, either one. Oh boy, did that go down right over the top of it. The bottom just absolutely fell out of that one, straight down.
Second strikeout for Mike LaCosse. 1 out in the third, and Dwight Smith, the batter. Take another look.
You get another look at the action on that split fingered or forkball. Well, just no rotation, and then very abruptly, boom, straight down.
Dwight Smith single to left in the first inning. As a left-handed batter, you may remember the job that was done on him by Matt Williams. He could have had 2 hits in game 1. He lined out, a great play by Williams, grounded out, a great play by Williams. Then he lined out to center. So even though he has only 2 hits in the league championship series, he has hit the ball a lot harder than the box score would indicate. He could easily have another 3 hits, maybe 4. High fly ball to left field. Mitchell going back, as is Butler, and it's Mitchell. So Dwight Smith, a long way the other way. He hit 9 home runs during the year.
If this game were being played at Wrigley Field, the way the wind was blowing the first 2 nights there, that ball is in the seats, in the bleachers at left center at Wrigley here, and out at Candlestick.
Mark Grace, and that's a strike. Mark flied to left field in the first inning, hitting .667. Grace was drafted by the Cubs. He was one of 3 first basemen. In fact, he wasn't, I think he was like the 274th player drafted, as opposed to Will Clark, who was the #1 draft choice. And he drives one into deep right center. Back goes Maldonado, away back, and it is off the wall. Grace into second base with a long double. And the tying run is out there for the Cubs with Andre Dawson coming up. Grace came close to hitting that one out. So the ball by Smith followed by the ball by Grace. They were both ripped.
Pitch up in the strike zone. Grace, like Will Clark, a beautiful swing. Grace normally trying to go to left field. That pitch off speed and a mistake up. You got time to drive it hard to right center field. That's a power gap there too in right center, right between that 365 and the Christy Mathewson sign on the fence. That's what they call the tunnel. A little window on, even on the days when it blows here, when the wind is blowing extremely hard, there seems to be a power tunnel right in that area between Christy Mathewson and the 365 sign.
That's a strike to Andre Dawson. Dawson singled just to the right of second baseman Robbie Thompson into center field to drive in 2 runs in the first inning. His first hit of the series. And he popped it up on the left side. It'll be Uribe. Boy, you'd never know it's Candlestick because the flags are not moving, and fly balls and pop flies are a cinch. Kevin Mitchell leading off bottom of the 3rd inning. Giants 3, Cubs 2.
Here's a look at that last pitch last inning by Mike Lacoste. You see how the fingers are split apart? That's a great shot, guys. Maybe the pitch not where he wanted it, but a great example of how the pitch is delivered and how it seems to tumble out of the fingers. You get a forward rotation on the ball, and the ball will break like a curveball, but the break will be much more sudden, much more unpredictable. That's a great shot of the two fingers that are split apart. Great shot.
2-1 to count to Kevin Mitchell. You know, when Kevin was in the minor leagues, he was hit in the head, and his vision in his left eye was completely out of sync. And he began wearing contact lenses this past spring, and now he sees the whole ball. So Kevin Mitchell, a line drive single to left. That'll bring up Matt Williams.
Mitchell extremely strong. Nice short stroke. The ball in a little bit. He collapsed just a little bit. One of the things that Rick Sutcliffe wants to do, just keep Kevin Mitchell and Will Clark in the ballpark. A couple of things you have to do to beat the Giants. Keep Butler and Thompson off the bases. Keep Clark and Mitchell in the ballpark.
Matt Williams at the plate, and turned him around with that fastball to again drive him off the plate. Otherwise, it takes his curveball away from him. Dusty Baker, the hitting coach for the Giants, listening to Will Clark and now making his own input on how to handle Sutcliffe.
The thing about Sutcliffe, he doesn't throw the same pitches back to back. He'll throw the off-speed pitch outside. He'll pop you inside with a fastball. He'll throw the fastball down and away. He'll throw the slider. He changes speeds. The hardest pitch that he's thrown today has been about 87 miles an hour. Some of his fastballs have been in the 83, 84 mile an hour range. But then he's got the slider that's 81 miles an hour. It's a great change of speeds that makes him effective.
Fouled away. In 1984, you may or may not remember that when Rick Sutcliffe came to the Cubs, he posted exhilarating numbers for the city. 16 wins and only 1 loss. But since that time, he's just a little bit more than break even. He won 60 and lost 57. 1-1 to count to Matt Williams. Matt hit back to the box in the first inning. One and 2.
There's another shot from behind home plate. A sinker ball that's going to run down and in toward Williams. You saw the split finger from Lacoste. That you could see the fingers roll over the top. Sutcliffe trying to run that ball in on Matt Williams' hands.
Giants 3, Cubs 2, bottom of the third. 2-2. Mitchell stole only 3 bases during the regular year. Matt Williams, basically a fly ball hitter, grounded into only 5 double plays. On deck, Terry Kennedy. High fly ball into left center, but it's playable, and it'll be Jerome Walden. It's a little difficult right now, not the wind, but the fact that the lights have not really taken effect. So for the outfielders, a little hard to get a jump. And when that ball was hit, Walton instinctively, knowing the hitter Williams, he started back on it. It is a beautiful evening, but it is rare, first, that the Giants play here in October, and secondly, they play a game at 5:20. And here is Terry Kennedy. Little chopper to Grace. He'll go for the front man to Dunston. Back to Grace. Pulled him off the bag. This spring, Mark Belanger was visiting the Cubs, and he noticed that Sean Dunston was gripping the ball the wrong way when throwing from the hole. And he was throwing sailors, and he might very well have gotten one off that time on that high throw to Mark Grace.
Well, he didn't really get a very good throw. Is exactly right, Vinny. A high throw from Grace at first, and he returns a high throw to him. Grace certainly did not want to hit Mitchell in the back. Make sure on that play that you do get the lead runner. If they made a decent throw to begin with that Dunston could have handled, he'd have gotten Kennedy. Kennedy just does not run well at all.
Line drive just foul down the right field line. So Kennedy back to first, and Candy Maldonado the batter. Maldonado walked in the first inning to force over a run. Giants 3, Cubs 2, bottom of the third inning. On 1. Fastball hit off the end of the stick down to Sandberg, and that will be that. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 3, the Giants 3 and the Cubs 2. As you look at Dave Dravecky, you think about they also serve who only stand and wait. There was a nice gesture made by each team involved in the league championship series. They did not want to forget those men who made sizable contributions during the year but were not eligible to play. As you look at Gary Varsho and Doug DeCenzo, the pitch high, ball 1. So in uniform, even though they can't play, Jeff Pico, Gary Varsho, Doug DeCenzo of the Cubs, and a host of Giants. Ball 2. Among those allowed to dress, Chris Spire, Bob Brenly, Dave Dravecky, Bob Nepper, and Randy McCammon. But it figured that would happen, that these teams especially would remember those men who contributed during the year, and especially in a series that would involve Don Zimmer. In 1953, Don Zimmer was seriously beaned in the minor leagues. The Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers, won the pennant that year, and he was so popular in spring training, they asked the commissioner if they could invite him to sit in the dugout during the World Series. And Don Zimmer came up, could barely speak as a result of that serious beating at the time in October, and he sat in the Dodger dugout in the 53 series. And they didn't forget him, and he hasn't forgotten the kids who worked for him this year. 3-1 to count. Luis Salazar, Sean Dunston, and Joe Girardi in there. 3-2. Salazar lined out to Will Clark in the first inning, hitting .375 in the series. Busted bat, and he hits one over the head of Robbie Thompson for a base hit. So part of the bat is 10-15 feet out in front of home plate, and the big part of it is out on the grass near shortstop. That thing disintegrated.
Salazar, the leadoff hitter in this inning, gets on a 3-2 pitch. Fastball either jammed him or out on the end, and the bat just absolutely exploded. Here you can see up the bat, hit just about the trademark. Both these pitchers going deep in the count. One of the things that a pitcher has got to remember, he's going to get a lot better defense if he pitches quickly, does not go to 3 balls a lot, throws strikes, keep the infielders alert in the infield. One of the problems that Nolan Ryan had when he was young, he would strike out so many and go to 3-2 on so many counts. McCloskey has already made 60 pitches and walked so many that the infielder seemingly would go to sleep and really help yourself by throwing strikes.
Line drive into left field, base hit. So the Cubs are now in business with 2 on and nobody out, and they've had at least 1 hit in every inning. After squandering the 2-0 lead, Girardi singled in the second, Grace doubled in the third, and now back-to-back singles in the fourth.
McCloskey is basically a ground ball pitcher. Breakouts down for pop flies, fly balls, ground outs. Into the fourth inning, everything has been in the air except for 1 ground out. Getting the ball up in the strike zone. And Mike has a There's the breakdown right there. Almost half of his outs on the ground. He's only had one ball on the ground so far.
Bunt by Girardi. There's a play at third, and Lacoste loses all the plays. Mike Lacoste had a play at third, and in his haste to make it, he came up empty. And the bases are loaded with nobody out, and Sutcliffe coming up.
Pitcher's responsibility here is to get over toward third base. It looked like Mike just rushed the ball. Rushed trying to get to the ball to get the lead runner at third base. One of the things you've got to do in this situation is get that right foot across the ball before you field it so you can spin easily. He was just standing straight up and didn't bend his knees enough. There was no chance to get anybody at first base. You see Williams at third base. Once he knows that Lacoste has a shot at the ball, he goes back. They have the lead runner, Salazar, dead at third base if Lacoste had been able to come up with it.
Roger Craig on his way out to the mound. Bases loaded, nobody out. It'll be a sacrifice and an error charge to Lacoste. Jeff Brantley begins to throw in the bullpen. And watching Lacoste, he hurt himself a little bit. I think he hurt his left leg. And Craig is out there to make sure his pitcher can continue. Lacoste hurt that left knee all right. See that knee, that left knee kind of turned inwardly, extended it. So now they're going to let him make a practice toss.
Maybe he pinched the ligament in there, pinched a tendon. Certainly didn't get down far enough to field the ball. Looking back where he may have slipped on the grass someplace, and that may have caused a discomfort.
He's not happy. He's coming out. Mike Lacoste. And what a ironic note. He's replacing Don Robinson because of Robinson's bad knee. Robinson replaced him in '87 because of his bad knee. And now Lacoste hurts his knee and he has to come out. The logical successor would, of course, make the story complete and say Don Robinson. But instead, it will be Jeff Brantley to come in with the bases loaded and nobody out. Young Jeff Brantley, 26 years old, out of Alabama, who was a teammate of Will Clark at Mississippi State University, has sure inherited quite a burden. Bases loaded, nobody out. Ball one to Rick Sutcliffe. Giants 3, Cubs 2. And the Giants get 2 tough breaks. First, the inability of Mike Lacoste to make the play, and then Lacoste injuring his knee and having to leave. Ground ball to Clark. He'll go to Kennedy. They get 1. Back to Clark. Double play.
Will Clark make 2 great throws in game number 2 at Wrigley Field. Here with Sutcliffe running, he knows he has plenty of time. He cuts the runner off at home, and Kennedy fires a strike down to first. We talked about him in comparison with Don Mattingly, the things that he can do offensively, the things that he can do defensively. Always in the game, always mentally in the game. One thing that Don Zimmer didn't want in that situation, the double play ball. Brantley able to get it.
So 2 down, runners at second and third, and Jerome Walton the batter. It's still Giants 3, Cubs 2. Walton has struck out and popped up. So Joe Girardi is at second and Sean Dunston at third. So the Giants get the big double play. Great bit of work for the rookie Jeff Brantley, now going head to head with Walton. In the dirt, gets away from Kennedy. Here comes Dunston. He'll score. To tie it up, down to third goes Girardi. Boy, it shows you the life of a ball player. 1 minute you come in, you get a double play ball, they love you, and the next thing you know, you give up the tying run before the applause has died down.
He gets a great job in getting Sutcliffe to get the double play, and here the breaking ball in the dirt. There's not much that Kennedy could do with it. There's no way with Dunson's speed you're going to get him at home, especially with 2 outs. Kennedy had to turn his body trying to block the breaking ball. They keep it in front as much as he can. Dunson, remember, has excellent speed. There's no chance for him at home plate.
Go ahead run at third now with 2 down. And there's a fly ball into left. Mitchell started back but moves over to put it away. So the Cubs get 2 hits, a big error, a wild pitch, and we're tied 3-3. Bottom of the 4th inning, Jose Uribe, Jeff Brantley, and Brett Butler in that order. Uribe slammed one down on home plate and legged it for a base hit. This a little fly ball, and Dawson will backhand it and roll and hold on to it. Big play by Andre Dawson. And he did not get a jump, again, because the lights have yet not taken effect.
Jerome Walton way over in left center in defensive Uribe. Vinny, you're exactly right. Dawson did not get a decent jump on the ball, but with his speed was able to catch up with it a few years ago before he hurt his legs. That's a routine play.
So we've seen Mitchell go back, we've seen Walden go back, and we saw Dawson not get any jump. So the next inning or 2 could be critical for the outfielders. Jeff Brantley takes ball 1, 1-0.
Can you imagine what it would be like if the wind was blowing?
Nightmare time.
I can't believe the flags in center field just straight down. How many times in an 81 game schedule here at San Francisco you'd see that?
2-0 to Brantley. And he's behind to Brantley now, 3-0.
A shot of that ballpark. This ballpark was enclosed a few years ago. It used to be open in the outfield.
He walked him. Let's get a report from Mike Schmidt.
Now let's keep in mind with that tender shoulder that Rick Sutcliffe has now, he's got to be somewhere in the 50s, maybe low 60s in number of pitches thrown to this point now. So they didn't help him out with a quick inning here. The first batter made an out on the first pitch, and of course he walked the pitcher. So Les Lancaster, the Cubs bullpen, could prove very big before this game's over.
He officially has walked 4, although 2 of them intentionally given. But walking Brantley is a cardinal sin, especially in a game tied up here in the 4th. And Butler takes ball 1. Butler went 3-2 in the count, leading off the ball game. And as he often does with 2 strikes, he went the other way and singled to left. Last time up, he popped up to Mark Grace. 1 ball, no strikes. 3-3 tie. Bottom of the 4th.
Grace holding Brantley on. And remember, Butler will try to pull the ball occasionally if he gets an off-speed pitch. He's got a big hole between Grace and Sandberg.
Shows bunt, takes ball 2.
Another thing Brett Butler was talking about, that they are trying to take the bunt away from him with Salazar in so far at third, that he may try to do something a little out of the ordinary, maybe a little pop swing bunt to try to get the ball in the air over Salazar's head at third, put the ball into play. He really does not want to try to bunt the ball toward the right side, as we talked about before.
2 balls and no strikes to count. 3 runs, 4 hits for the Giants. 3 runs, 7 hits for the Cubs.
2 balls, no strikes, and Sutcliffe has only been a first strike pitcher on 9 out of 19 of the hitters he's faced so far.
2-0. That's in there. Terry Tate of the plate umpire. Jim Quick, Charlie Williams, Randy Marsh working the lines. And the foul lines, Doug Harvey on the left field line, Bruce Fremming on the right field line. 2-1 to Butler. Scott Sanderson and left-hander Steve Wilson are up again behind Sutcliffe. Change, short hop by Grace. They get 1, and they will not get the other. Now Roger Craig is going to argue that Sean Dunston was not on the bag. Grace short hopped a ball that was blistered. We'll see whether Dunston was cheating or not. The old neighborhood play. Get it and throw it if you're anywhere near the bag. And managers always feel that umpires so often make it an automatic call. There's the short hop. Now watch where Dunston is. He's on the bag, but where is his left foot? Can't tell from that angle. Roger Craig is saying that when Dunston caught the ball, his left foot was off the bag, and both runners should be safe. Watch from this angle.
A lot of times you'll get it in
Oh,
the territory. It definitely comes off the bag. Now remember, earlier in the game, Kennedy hit a ball down to Grace. Grace made a high throw to Dunston at second base, and it was questionable whether he was on the base on that one. He is definitely off the base on that double play ball.
Oh, that wasn't close.
There's no way you're going to get Butler at first anyway. He just runs too well.
He was in the other area code.
He really cheated there. Roger Craig is exactly right.
Yep. Well, we'll see just how important that is, and it's already very important. Instead of 2 on and 1 out, you have 2 out and 1 on. Butler taking the throw. So Sean Dunston really got away with one at second base. Boy, this crowd's not about to forgive Charlie Williams, especially if the Giants come up empty in the inning. 3-3 in the 4th.
John Dunston playing way around at shortstop, really playing the pole.
Time, no pitch. Terry Tatum calling no pitch. What Sutcliffe's doing in the parlance of the pitcher, trying to freeze the runner. He'll bring his hands together at the belt, and then he just holds it. And it's awfully hard for even the most experienced base stealer to get a jump, to read a pitcher who suddenly stops completely. Now almost a quick pitch. 1 ball and no strikes. Now the umpires are on the spot. Charlie Williams began the first game in virtual obscurity on the left field foul line, but boy, he is center stage now at second base. Robbie Thompson single to the hole at short and struck out. 1 for 2. 3-3 tie, bottom of the 4th.
Talking about picking and trying to hit the corners. That's exactly what Rick Sutcliffe is doing. We've only had one decent starting pitcher in this entire series so far. There's a general rule the starting pitching has really been very poor. Scotty Garrelts pitched well for the Giants in game number 1, but all the other starting pitching has been very mediocre at best.
2-0 to Robbie Thompson. The only 2 strikeouts that Sutcliffe had came back-to-back in the second inning when he got Thompson and Clark. Now, he was saying that Craig would like to play hit and run 2 balls and 1 strike. That was in the first inning. Now he has it 2 balls and no strikes. Butler a short lead, trying to increase it. And almost balk. Yep, his left leg. They got the balk. Called immediately by Jim Quick.
Sutcliffe will break that left knee, trying to get the runner leaning the wrong way. Here you see the normal speed replay. This is the way the umpires and everybody else in the field will see it. Watch his left knee. You see it break? And if it breaks like that, you got to go home.
Problem with Rick Sutcliffe is everybody in the league knows that move. He's been around so long, and the umpires are always looking for it.
You see the break and Butler going the other way. Jim Quick did not waste any time at all to call the balk.
Strike to Robbie Thompson.
The most important people on the field that know that he has the balk are those men in blue out there, and they know that he has it.
Indeed. You talk about the hitters having books on pitchers. The umpires have their own books. Well, this is an extremely important at bat for Robbie Thompson with Will Clark on deck and 2 out. 2-1. Just a fake look as he rolled off the rubber. So in the inning, Uribe flied out after Dawson did not get a jump and had to make a tumbling catch. Brantley walked. Butler hits into a force play that will forever be disputed. And now the balk. Almost threw that away.
Boy, he didn't want to throw the ball over the plate.
He is just not the pitcher we used to see at all.
He is really nibbling.
No.
He's throwing wish pitches. The parlance of the starting pitcher, they wish this pitch would go and somebody would make an out. He really does. That's not even close to being anywhere near the hitting zone.
3-1.
You got Will Clark on deck. You got to go after this guy if you're right-handed.
If I remember correctly, the Cubs have renewed his contract for 2 years at over $2 million a year. 3-1. Went after him and he popped it up. A 3-1 fastball, and Luis Salazar in foul ground puts it away. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station, and they're still booing Charlie Williams.
Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch. We brew our fine quality beers to be enjoyed responsibly. Remember, know when to say when. And by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more?
The Goodyear Blimp Columbia, based in Carson, California. Tom Mattis at the wheel. The Goodyear Blimp televised its first major sporting event in 1962 during the Orange Bowl, the year the Giants went to the World Series. Ball 1 to Ryan Sandberg, Dwight Smith, and Mark Grace. On that cheat play at second base, Don Zimmer, who played shortstop, going over to talk to his young shortstop. What a play by Matt Williams to take a base hit away from Ryan Sandberg. Boy, Williams has sparkled defensively since game 1.
Looking like a young Mike Schmidt, isn't he? You go back and look at Mike Schmidt's offensive numbers in his first year. They kind of look like the same numbers that Matt Williams had for the Giants this year, and he is doing a superb defensive job for San Francisco. One of the things they wanted to fill at the beginning of this year was that third base spot, and they've done it with Williams. Boy, and he has been a vacuum cleaner at third base during the 3 games of this series.
1 ball and no strikes to Dwight Smith. Big foul. That'll give us a chance to give you the paid attendance, and it is a whopper. 62,065, the largest crowd in Candlestick Park history to see a baseball game. Strike 1 and 2.
Talking about before, the stadium used to be open in left field and right field. You could actually look right out into San Francisco Bay.
Got him.
Great breaking ball by Brantley, and Smith goes down.
So 2 down in the 5th inning as Brantley picks up his first strikeout.
One of the things that's very difficult to tell if those pitches are split fingers or if it's the curveball. As from a visual standpoint, they look very similar, but from Brantley, it looks like the fingers came right over the top of the ball. They were together, and it was an overhand curveball.
Fastball, a showcase pitch to Mark Grace, ball 1. Grace flied to left, doubled off the fence in right center. 1 for 2. Ball 2.
McCoss got an off-speed pitch up to Grace the last time. He drove it to the wall in right center. The game plan the Giants want against Grace is to pitch him away, play him away. Let's see if Brantley does it that way. Oh, off-speed pitch.
And Grace way out in front of it. And the count 2-1.
That was a beauty. Way out in front. That was a fine off-speed. Now watch the ball where the bat hits. See how far extended he is? All the weight gone. The ball just not there yet. That was a beautiful pitch by Brantley.
2-1. On the outside corner, and the count 2-2, and that made Mark Grace cock his head.
Here you got to look in the slow-mo of the hand, how it comes on the inside, and the ball just breaks down and away.
Fisted foul down the left field line, out of play. A couple of notes about Candlestick Park. Began construction in '59 and opened in '60 with a capacity of 42,000. They increased it to 58,000 when they enclosed it in 1972. And among other things, it started with natural grass. Then they installed artificial turf in the outfield and the infield. And eventually in 1979, they brought back the grass. Ball 3. Well, I guess this is the only ballpark that's gone from one to the other. Grass, turf, and then back to grass again. 3-2. So that'll put Grace aboard and bring up Andre Dawson.
Brantley upset. 3-2 pitch, not even close to the strike zone. There's the split finger. You can see the fingers split apart. Well, on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. Go to the fastball outside. Make him hit you out, just the way Mike Lacoste was talking before the game.
Here's Andre Dawson, single to center and popped to short. His base hit in the first inning, driving in 2 runs. Right. 0-1. (3-3) with 2 out, top of the 5th. Brantley in relief of starter Mike Lacoste. Grace at first, 2 out. Dawson a roller to shortstop. Uribe the short way to Thompson. No runs, no hits, a man left. The end of 4 1/2, a 3-3 tie. Bottom of the 5th inning in a 3-3 tie. Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and Matt Williams. Clark hit back to the box and struck out. He is 0 for 2. Breaking ball, strike. Clark had a base hit in game 2, but did go out his last 3 at-bats in that game, though he's now 0 for his last 5 trips. 1 ball, 1 strike. 3-3 in the 5th. Clark hit back to the box with 2 on in the first inning and struck out in the second.
Clark has had a lot of trouble with Sutcliffe. Faced him 29 times. He struck out 11. Just a sequence of pitches, the kinds and the varieties of pitches that Sutcliffe will throw gives Clark problems.
1-1. Sean Dunston has overshifted way over to his left. He's not quite behind the bag, but look how far away from a normal shortstop spot he is. That puts a lot of pressure on Salazar, who does not have range to cover most of the left side of the infield. 1-2. Line drive, whistle by for a base hit.
Well, the leadoff hitter on again for San Francisco, the 3rd time tonight. 1 fastball too many in a sequence in the zone. The other fastball that Sutcliffe threw to Will Clark was out of the strike zone. There, the sinker trying to go down and away to get the ground ball. He gets it, or Clark hits it too well.
Kevin Mitchell walked intentionally, single to left, and he punches one to Sandberg, to Dunston, to Grace. And the double play quickly, 4-6-3. You know, some of you are tuning in looking for Hunter, Fred Dreyer. Well, he's right here at the ball game, along with business partner Tony Capozola and co-producer of Hunter, Larry Kubek. Hunter will return for its season premiere next Saturday at 10 p.m. on NBC. Fred, of course, played for the Los Angeles Rams. He was a very good defensive end and played here. He knows what it's like to get his lumps at Candlestick.
Played in New York as well. New York Giants, and more or less known as a free spirit as a football player, to put it mildly.
1 ball and no strikes the count of Matt Williams. Hit back to the box and flied to center. fouled away. Earlier, Tom, you mentioned Matt Williams and Mike Schmidt. How they both had comparable numbers their first year in the big leagues. 18 home runs for each, 50 RBIs for Williams, 52 for Mike. The difference was in 1974, Mike Schmidt hit full stride, 36 home runs and 116 RBIs. High fly ball to left field, going back on it is Smith on the track. He makes the play, and again, no chance of movement. There isn't a breath of air at Candlestick, and we're still tied 3-3. Sixth inning of a 3-3 tie. Jeff Brantley might be pitching his last inning now against Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi. Down in the Giant bullpen for the last inning, Don Robinson has been throwing, perhaps just to test his knee or getting ready for this game.
The point being, can Don Robinson give Roger Craig a couple of innings? That is a big question. Boy, it is hurting him too.
Yeah, you can see
him rolling over.
Look at the difference between the left knee and the right, and you can understand his problem. That's a strike.
You know what
see
he has out there? That's Freddie Dryer's knee brace.
Gee. And imagine stepping down a slope and trying to get major league hitters out with that. High fly ball into right field. Maldonado right there. One down. The Giants are not going to forget Charlie Williams' call on the missed play at fourth that was given to Dunston. So after Clark is doubled up, he will say to Charlie Williams, he stepped on the base that time. So they're going to be zinging Charlie Williams all night, and that play will get bigger and bigger as the evening goes along. One away. Sean Dunston, who of course was the man who glided and left the bag before he got the ball. Grounds to Uribe in the dirt, dug out by Clark.
You think Will Clark is part elephant? He never forgets anything. Every little aspect of the game he remembers. A great play defensively he made the other night in Chicago, throwing to third base.
You know what he did in game one? Rick Rona said to him, "What kind of a bat do you use?" And Clark told him, and then went about his hitting. The next night, the bat boy came over to Rick Rona with a Will Clark bat and said, "Here." I said, "I didn't ask for that." He said, "No, but Clark sent it over to you." He didn't forget that either. 1-0 the count to Joe Girardi, singled and sacrificed. His sacrifice in the fourth inning was a very big play. Not only did Mike LaCosse fail to make the play, but he injured his knee, had to leave, and Brantley wild pitched the tying run over. 2-0. Ground ball to Matt Williams. So the Cubs are gone in order in the sixth. First time. It's tied up 3-3. Terry Kennedy, Candy Maldonado, and Jose Uribe. And Sutcliffe throws a 55-footer. 1 ball and no strikes. 3 runs, 7 hits for the Cubs. 3 runs, 5 hits, and an error for the Giants. Sutcliffe has allowed 2 hits since the first inning. Base hit to Mitchell and a base hit to Clark. That kind of figures.
He has dodged a few bullets, though.
Will Clark doing a little cheerleading out there, trying to shake up his ball club.
You wonder if this is Sutcliffe's last inning. First hitter scheduled for the Cubs in the top of the 7th.
Ground ball to first baseman Mark Grace. 1 away. Don't forget, start your day with NFL Live tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time. O.J. Simpson checking the Raiders camp when the Raiders named Art Shell head coach. You'll get the story behind the headlines. Most of the nation will see the Bills battle the Colts, plus regional action, so check local listings for the game and time in your area. Candy Maldonado walked in the first inning, grounded out in the third. Candy 0 for 1. Candy in his 4th National League Championship Series, so they have a veteran player in there. He played in '83, '85. then 87 with the Giants, and now 89 with the Giants, the previous 2 with the Dodgers. On deck, Jose Uribe. Don Robinson has concluded his warm-ups coming into the dugout. Now remember, Brantley is due to bat 4th in the inning. So we'll see if the big man comes in. Sutcliffe behind 3-0.
Boy, he is really goosing it up there. There's no pop on the ball at all. Dick Pohl on the phone down to the Chicago bullpen and doesn't like what he's seeing from Sutcliffe on the mound. He's pitching against the bottom of the order. It's the only thing that he really has going for him.
And they let Maldonado swing 3-0, hoping he might hit one out.
Good play by Roger Craig. At bottom of the lineup, you get your
Paul Assenmacher up now in the bullpen.
You get your hitter to the advantage. One guy that can pop it out of the ballpark for you at the bottom of the lineup. Maldonado can do that. He had 9 home runs during the year. I don't think that Zim will let Sutcliffe go around and face the top of the order again if it gets that far.
Ground ball wide to third. On it is Salazar. Guns it to Grace. 2 down. So Sutcliffe is not overpowering. He's not making any headlines, but he's getting people out.
I don't know if he's getting people out or people are getting themselves out. That is much the case. 5 of the last 6 hitters, he's fallen behind them. A lot of times hitters will simply try to do too much or take more than what the pitcher offers them and get themselves out.
Where's Uribe? Had an infield single and then lost a fly ball base hit on that rolling catch by Andre Dawson in the 4th inning. Uribe, you may remember, in the first game of this series, had a key base hit, a hit and run single, hitting left-handed. And then Will Clark hit the grand slam home run in that inning. 1-1 to Jose Uribe. Ken Oberkfell, who has been marvelous coming off the bench for the Giants as a pinch hitter, in the wings waiting for Uribe to extend the inning. Up here they split the ballpark. Half the park hollers Ure and the other half hollers Uribe. So you heard of a split infinitive. 2-1.
There you see the breaking ball from Rick Sutcliffe. That's the curveball. See the fingers come right over the top of the ball.
Popped in the air back at first and down the line. Sandberg behind Grace in foul ground. So Rick Sutcliffe, one way or another, stays even through 6, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Coors Light, pure brewed in the Rockies. The silver bullet won't slow you down. It's the right beer now. And by Acura, precision crafted performance exclusively at your Acura dealer.
Let's get a report from Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, Benny, this just goes to show you what a great performance Rick Sutcliffe is putting in here tonight. Doesn't have his best stuff. Shoulder bothering him coming in. The art of pitching backwards. He's shown us what it can do for a great pitcher. Just a great job by a veteran tonight, and I think Zimmer knows it because he's letting him go to home plate and hit and hopefully finish this ball game.
The Giants have made 2 changes. And there's a drive to center, and there's nobody there. That's going to go through, and backhanded by Butler, who falls down, and into second base with a double is Sutcliffe. Brett Butler did a great job to cut the ball off, only to slip and fall. Donnell Nixon is the new right fielder, and Don Robinson is the pitcher. And if you're keeping score, put Robinson in Maldonado's spot and put Nixon number 9, so he'll be leading off in the bottom of the 7th.
Granted that Rick Sutcliffe is a good hitting pitcher, but you have to question here whether Don Robinson is going to be able to get anything on the ball at all. That pitch, a nothing pitch right up in Sutcliffe's eyes, and he drove it in the gap between Butler and Maldonado. Here you can see the swing. Look where the location of the pitch is, and Sutcliffe gets the bat hit right out front. I mean, that was right down Broadway.
With Sutcliffe at second and nobody out, and everybody in the ballpark can see the difference in knees with Don Robinson. You have to wonder about whether the Cubs will try and go after not the Achilles heel, but Robinson's knee. Greg Lefferts is throwing in the bullpen, and you begin to look bunt. Full swing foul. Just how even these two teams are? Well, they played 12 games during the regular year, 6-6, 3-3 in each ballpark. They played 2 games in the LCS. They're tied 1-1, and they played 6 innings of the 3rd game, and they're tied 3-3. That's even. Jerome Walden struck out, popped up, flied to left, 0 for 3. Uribe trying to bird dog Sutcliffe and cut down his lead. There's the bunt, and it's great catch by Clark, and he throws it over Uribe's glove, and Sutcliffe is going to go to third anyway. So there was the bunt we were looking for. A great catch by Clark, but just try to throw a ball sitting down. Also, to complicate matters, Sutcliffe, trying to go 2 ways at once, hurt himself.
Great play by Will Clark, and a good throw to second base. Jose Uribe just went off the back of his glove. What a fine anticipation play. The glove ball there, Uribe just took his eye off the ball. That was very catchable. Sutcliffe's leg was a little bit tender when he pulled into second base after the double. Zim will come out, check him out.
Indeed, because if there's a fly ball, he has to know whether he has a sound runner at third to tag up. And you have Ryne Sandberg, the batter. That was a rather remarkable throw by Will Clark, sitting on the grass, split like a pair of scissors, and threw it accurately enough. The difference is Uribe wanted to make the double play so badly, he couldn't afford to get off the bag to catch the ball that was just slightly off mark. And we are going to have a runner for Sutcliffe.
Greg Maddux is going to run. Pitcher for pitcher. You take another look at the double play at second base, the attempt of the double play. Jose Uribe should have caught that. That was a makeable double play, no question.
Error charge to Uribe.
How often do you see this? Pitcher for pitcher as a pinch runner. Maddux, a good athlete, a good hitter, a good base runner. Not the first time this season that Zim has used him in the pinch run situation.
So both starting pitchers hurt themselves. Mike Lacoste hurts his knee on a bunt. Rick Sutcliffe injures his knee and comes out for Maddux. Ryne Sandberg is the batter, and the Giants, of course, play the infield up. Sandberg, during the regular year, had 2 scoring fly balls. Fouled away. Paul Assenmacher throwing in the Chicago bullpen. Craig Lefferts in the Giant pen.
Sandberg struck out 85 times during the regular season. But with Robinson on the mound, the sore right leg, you would doubt he'd be able to get a strikeout here. The infield playing in certainly to cut off the run.
No balls and 1 strike to Ryne Sandberg. Breaking ball fouled away. With Robinson, he'll throw you just about everything. Fastball, slider, curve. He has a splitter, and he even throws a cut fastball.
Here you see on the slow-mo the breaking ball. That's the curveball down and away. Every time Sandberg has had a good swing, a good hack at the ball, it's been on the fastball. His weakest swings have come against the breaking ball.
0-2. Maddux at third, 1 out, 3-3 in the 7th. Breaking ball fouled away. Don Robinson, had it not been for the bad right knee, would have figured even more prominently in the Giant plans the last month of the season, as well as going into the LCS. Now with Lacoste hurting, Robinson questionable, Sutcliffe hurting, the pitching on each side gets thinner and thinner. Down in the bullpen, Lefferts testing his left shoulder that bothered him. 0-2 to Sandberg. 1 out. Fastball, and he hit it to straightaway center, and that's plenty deep to get the run in. Maddox tags. Here he comes. Butler's desperate throw, not in time. You a little surprised 0-2 fastball?
Oh, aren't I? 2 real bad swings against the breaking ball, just defensive. Sandberg was lucky to foul it off. Talked about Sandberg the entire series being a good fastball hitter, be it on the inside part of the plate or the outside part of the plate. It makes no difference. Every good swing he has had has been against the fastball. I think Robinson wanted to get it in off the plate, didn't even want him to swing at it and then try to strike him out with the breaking ball away. He just did not get it in.
Ground ball to the right side. Robbie Thompson will take care of Dwight Smith, but the Cubs get a run in the 7th. At the end of 6 1/2, Cubs 4, Giants 3, and Sutcliffe will call it a night. This is the throw by Will Clark that got away from Uribe. Now watch the right leg of Sutcliffe as it skids over the bag. He did a split, turned now and staggered over to third, lifted for a pinch runner. The Cubs were worried about him, and Maddox carried over the go-ahead run. And Sutcliffe now heading for the dressing room.
He was limping when he went into second base on the double, as if he had strained something going around first when he was heading for second. It looked to me like it was the left hamstring. A long walk from the dugout down to the bullpen.
Donnell Nixon bunting foul off to the right of the plate, and the count 0-1 against Paul Ossenmacher. So Nixon, who came in the 2-for-1 switch with Don Robinson, coming up.
One of the great indignities of this ballpark, and we heard Mike Schmidt talk about the visitor dugout before the game. A long way from the visitors dugout all the way down to the San Francisco Giant bullpen, which is adjacent to the door which leads to the locker rooms, and there is no other way for a visiting player to get there other than walk across the field. And when you get knocked out of a game here, not that Sutcliffe got knocked out, but like if you're taken out in the middle of an inning and head for the clubhouse, ooh, you stand the chance of getting some severe San Francisco boos, and no place to hide.
1 ball and 1 strike. Donnell Nixon opening up matters, bottom of the 7th inning. And he lifts one into left center. Smith on the run. One hands it. That's a kid they said was a shaky outfielder, but he has improved each week in the National League. Dwight Smith. Tough chance on that ball hit by Donnell Nixon.
Chicago Cubs are going to probably end up 1-2 in Rookies of the Year this year. Great play by Smith. Jerome Walton, his partner in center, will probably win the Rookie of the Year award. But Don Zimmer and the entire Cub organization, when they had so many injuries early in the year to their outfield, their entire starting outfield was gone. They had to go to the minor leagues for help. And these 2 young men came in and fielded beautifully.
Ball 1 to Brett Butler. We have also gone through that dangerous time for the outfielders. The lights now taking full effect. Night has fallen here in the San Francisco area, so the outfield is getting much better jumps. 2-0. And still not a breeze, not a breath. Absolutely ideal condition. So the much maligned Candlestick Park has dressed for dinner tonight. Line drive, base hit, and the tying run is aboard. We just have a moment before we get to more excitement here. A reminder, the American League Championship Series tomorrow. Oakland and Toronto, Game 5, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then It'll be game 4. The Cubs and the Giants at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Time on the field. Time called. Mark Grace gesturing and pointing, and now Joe Girardi going to the mound to talk to Paul Assenmacher. Robbie Thompson will be the batter. Thompson has singled a short, struck out, and fouled out to third.
They're just making sure which way Assenmacher is going to go to second base. Is he going to go to Dunston or Sandberg, depending on who's covering? Sandberg says, I will be at second if the ball's hit back to you.
Luis Salazar is right at the bag at third, and they have opened up the left side of the infield. Always, baseball men will argue when you get late in the game, do you guard the foul line against the extra base hit and then give the hitter the opportunity for the base hit? The Cubs have gone for guarding the line.
Butler about 500 against left-handers stealing bases. 8 out of 15. 31 on the season.
Assenmacher kind of rears back before he makes his throw to first, like a horse that has just spotted a snake. That head really flies back, and he goes upright and then bends backwards towards third. It looks like Butler's able to read that unless it's a decoy. Fastball. Watch this delivery by Paul Assenmacher. Looks in. Whoop. And then he'll go over there. Then when he comes to the plate, he doesn't do that. Don Zimmer now is going out down in the bullpen. Mitch Williams and Les Lancaster. Now, maybe Zimmer has studied a calculator. If he has, he finds out that Robbie Thompson has 6 hits in 6 career at-bats against Paul Assenmacher. So Assenmacher comes out, and Les Lancaster comes in. 4-3 Cubs, bottom of the 7th. The Giants with a tying run aboard. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-3 Cubs. The last time Les Lancaster pitched to Robbie Thompson, Robbie Thompson hit a home run against him in the 9th inning of Game 2 at Wrigley Field. Lancaster now trying to tie up Butler, and he'll have his hands full with Thompson.
Different situation. That was a 3-2 pitch. Big lead, threw it right down the middle of the plate. Thompson just hit it out.
He gave up 3 runs and 4 hits in the Mike Bilecki game, and he relieved Assenmacher as he's doing now.
Mitch Williams still standing up in the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. You wonder if Zim is bringing Lancaster in for just 1 hitter, and then bring Williams in to face Will Clark, maybe to close it for the Cubs. Awfully early to bring Williams in. He's not pitched in the series, though. Thought he was going to get in for an inning, if not an inning, for at least a hitter in game number 2 in Chicago. But we still haven't seen Mitch in the ballgame yet.
2-0 the count to Robbie Thompson. Butler at first, 1 out in the 7th. Cubs 4, Giants 3. Butler's going, and the ball is hit to deep left. Back goes Smith. Gone.
From Les Lancaster. This time a little bit on the inside part of the plate, and a line drive right out of here.
Brett Butler exulting, as does this crowd of over 62,000. And it is 5-4 Giants. Ball 1 to Will Clark. So the last 2 times that Les Lancaster has pitched to Robbie Thompson, Thompson has hit him for home runs. Now back. Robbie Thompson, who was originally scouted and sold to the Giants by Don Zimmer's son, Tom, has now come back to haunt Tom's dad. 1-1. Ground ball into left field.
More frustrating for Mitch Williams.
High foul off first. Grace trying to get under it. At the railing, reaches in, disappears. No play.
Here you see Grace going after the foul ball. Those are auxiliary boxes here at Candlestick Park. A lot of foul territory. That ball not even close to the playing field if we were in Wrigley Field. And had those seats not been there, those are temporary seats put in just for the playoffs, Grace would have had that ball.
A lot of gloves in there besides Marks.
There's somebody with the ball right there. It's not Mark Grace.
All right, Kevin Mitchell with the count 0-1. And he was helped by a fan. Let's see what he does with the help. Strike, 0-2. So in the inning with Ossenmacher pitching, Nixon robbed of a hit by Smith. Butler singled. They lifted Ossenmacher for Les Lancaster, who gives up the home run to Robbie Thompson and a single to Clark. Ball 1. And they are going wild at Candlestick. The largest crowd ever to see a game here. 62,065. High pop fly. It'll be Sean Dunston. That's the second out in the inning. And it will bring up Matt Williams to look ahead if you're not keeping score in the 8th inning. The Cubs will have Mark Grace, Andre Dawson, and Luis Salazar, with Sean Dunston batting 4th in the inning. Matt Williams hit back to the box, flied to center, flied to left, fouls it back. He's ticked at himself on that pitch. I think he feels he had a pitch he could handle, and he hit under it and fouled it back. That was the big fish that got away. 0-1.
Giants starting to get a little bit of run production out of spots other than 3 and 4 and 5 in their lineup. After the first couple of games, all but one of their RBIs have been out of those 3 spots.
1-1. Giants 5, Cubs 4. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2 out. Pop foul, out of play. 1-2.
We're talking about how the key about beating the Giants is keeping those number 1 and 2 guys off the bases, Butler and Thompson. You read across your scorecard, you see Butler, Thompson, 4 for 8. 4 runs, 2 RBIs. Another good offensive night for the number 1 and 2 spots.
Wildly exciting game that saw the Cubs score 2, the Giants score 3, Cubs tie it in the 4th, Cubs take the lead in the 7th, and now the Giants lead in the 7th, 5-4. Breaking ball away. 2-2. Deuces wild on Matt Williams. Little nubber up the middle, right behind the bag. Sandberg toes it ahead of the sliding Clark. But Robbie Thompson is the man of the moment as he hits his second home run against Lancaster, and the Giants lead 5-4. Les Lancaster gave up a 2-run home run to Matt Williams in the 8th inning of Game 2, and a 9th inning home run to Robbie Thompson in Game 2. Now he has been bitten again on the home run by Robbie Thompson in the 7th inning. So he's given up 3 home runs, and this one hurts him. The other 2 he got away with. He allowed only 2 home runs all year. And here's Mark Grace, and he hammers one to right. Donnell Nixon plays it on a bounce, and the Cubs come right back to put the tying run aboard. Well, we have pointed out throughout the series just how even these 2 teams are. And look at those 2, Mark Grace and Will Clark. A first-round draft choice, and the other pick like 274th.
24th round for Mark Grace, and 2 first basemen in that round ahead of him.
He finally went and played in the Alaska League. He played it with the North Pole Knicks, and that's when he started to play. You could say that's when his game thawed out or something. And here is Andre Dawson. Dawson 1 for 3. Got the base hit to drive in 2 in the first inning. Ball 1.
You wonder how a guy may not get drafted like that. Grace, a first baseman, really didn't show any power. And you would think that a first baseman, what you want to see out of him is somebody that has some pop. Somebody that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. I think there are a lot of clubs that take him right now just like he is. Don't you?
And he's hitting 4th. And he's had a walk, a single, and a double tonight. Dawson in 3 games has hit 1 ball out of the infield, but it was a winner. That was that single to drive in 2 runs in the first inning. Otherwise, the Hawk has been a dove so far.
Some talk about people asking Don Zimmer if he would take Dawson out of the lineup. He said there's no way. He's really the one guy in the lineup that can carry the Chicago club. The one guy that could go on a tear and hit a sequence of home runs and carry a club for a week. Admittedly, he has been cold so far in the first 3 games.
Behind Don Robinson in the Giant bullpen is Steve Bedrosian. So Bedrock heating up in case Robinson can't hold it. It's 5-4 Giants, top of the 8th. Line foul. Dawson checking the handle of the bat. So he turned quickly enough, but the bat didn't get around quickly enough.
A lot of talk around the cage the day before the game about the weights of bats the hitters use now. Joe Torre was talking about that he used to use a 36-ounce bat. Hitters today use 32, 33-ounce bats. Very small handles, very whippy. That's why you see a lot of broken bats that just shatter in half.
1-1. Curveball and a high fly ball to left field. Mitchell on the track to make the catch. Grace tagging to second. The throw. They got him.
You can see that the play even surprised Kevin Mitchell a little bit. Thompson had come away from the bag. Take nothing away from Mark Grace. This is the way that Don Zimmer plays baseball. Let's not be afraid to make aggressive mistakes. Grace trying to get into scoring position. His club 1 run down against a fielder that is not known for having a good arm, a good percentage play. You must play aggressively. That's what Zimmer's done all year.
A strike to Salazar. Look how close it was. Maybe by a finger. And Thompson able to brand him just before he got to the bag. There's a drive to right. Nixon coming up to flag it, and it jumps out of his glove. I don't know whether Donnell lost that ball or whether it just squirted out like a piece of wet soap. But the crowd stunned on that play.
Hopefully hit him right on top of the head. Really lost it in the lights or simply misjudged it. Closed the glove.
Yeah.
Oh, hit him on the wrist.
And he turned his arm.
Wrist. Yeah. He motioned in that he was okay. He just flat missed it.
Well, you realize now what kind of an inning this would have been had Grace been able to advance to second base. That becomes a tremendous play. Sean Dunston will be coming up as Donnell Nixon, unable to hold on to that drive for whatever reason. Luis Salazar coming out. They'll get a little more speed. Curtis Wilkerson will run for him. The way he raised his left elbow at the last second, it almost looked like he was ducking, as if maybe he lost it, but only Donnell could tell you. So Grace singles to right. Dawson hits a curveball deep. Grace tries to tag, and Mitchell throws him out. And then Nixon has trouble with the drive. And here is Sean Dunston. Dunston grounded out, singled, and grounded out again. He scored what was then the tying run on the wild pitch back in the 4th inning. 8th inning, Giants 5, Cubs 4. Fastball whacked into left field, base hit. I'll tell you what, Don Robinson got away cheaply on that curveball to Andre Dawson.
When he first hit it, I thought it was out.
He really got away with a bad breaking ball. Now he's got 2 on with 2 out.
He got the pitch up to Grace. Grace hit the ball hard. Dawson must have hit it just off the end of the bat. The ball that Salazar hit to right field, he hit decently, and there, a fastball up. And Sean Dunston, who is a fastball hitter, line drive to left field. You wonder how long Rogers going to go with him. This has got to be a stall out here with Kennedy and Clark coming to the mound.
You know, the Giants had their hearts broken on a play in right field, Game 6 in the 1987 League Championship Series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Maybe you remember it. There was a battle between John Tudor and Dave Dravecki. A ball hit in the air to right field, and Maldonado came up and lost it, went into a slide, it went over his head, rolled all the way to the wall. The run came in, and the Cardinals won it 1-0. And Maldonado was victimized, but the run scored. Now Nixon has had trouble, but the run has not come over yet. Robinson has gone. Brett Butler counseling Nixon. And Craig Lefferts will come racing in to accept the challenge. Giants 5, Cubs 4. This telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. He is inconsolable. Donnell Nixon has been taken out. He's in the near corner of the dugout, and Pat Sheridan picks up in right field. Lloyd McClendon will hit against Craig Lefferts, and Nixon will try to figure out what went wrong. McClendon has been a good pinch hitter, 5 for 16 with a home run. 0-1. 2 on, 2 out, and a wild 8th, and the Giants holding on to a 5-4 lead. Wilkerson at second, the tying run. Dunston at first. They both run well. Now back. Craig Lefferts really came of age as a clutch relief pitcher in 1984. He came of age at the expense of the Chicago Cubs. He pitched exceptionally well for San Diego to beat the Cubs in the '84 playoffs, and then pitched very well in relief in the World Series against Detroit. That was his springboard. Now here he is 5 years later, going against the same Cubs. One ball and one strike to Lloyd McClendon. Ground foul behind Chuck Cartier, and the count 1-2.
An off-speed pitch defended way out in front. Williams at third base is way off the line. Sometimes you have to pitch the way your defense is set up. As a pitcher, you've got to realize where your infielders are playing. You can see Williams off the line at third. Try not to give a hitter something that he can pull inside that third base bag.
Leverage with a fastball, slider, and a screwball. And that's hit down the left field line, hooking foul and out of play. Every time a pitcher comes to San Francisco, you hear about Roger Craig teaching him to throw the split finger. But when Lefferts came to San Francisco, Roger taught him to throw the cut fastball. And that was the extra pitch he felt he needed. Curtis Wilkerson, the tying run at second. Sean Dunston at first. 2 out in the 8th. 1-2 the count to Lloyd McClendon. Screwball, and he wouldn't chase it, and the count 2-2. So the deuces are wild again. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 5-4 Giants. All 3. So that's a slight break for the Cubs. The runners will be going on the pitch. Will Clark gesturing to Uribe. So Clark, for the moment, the captain on the infield. Runners at the ready. Runners go. High fly ball to left field. It's playable, and Mitchell is there. No runs, 2 hits and an error, 2 left, and it's still 5-4 Giants. A reminder, later tonight, following your local news, it's an all-new Saturday Night Live with Mick Marinas and musical guest Ricky Lee Jones. Tonight only on NBC. Will Clark and other Giants exulting over the turn of events that has seen the Giants come from behind and then dodge a big bullet in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, Clark was all over Kevin Mitchell when he came in that dugout.
Paul Ossenmacher thinking about the base hit by Butler and his removal for Lancaster and the subsequent home run by Robbie Thompson. The changes, 2 changes for the Cubs. Curtis Wilkerson, who ran for Salazar, is at third. And Lloyd McClendon, who batted for Joe Girardi, is behind the plate. 0-1. Terry Kennedy walked intentionally, hit into a force play, grounded out, 0 for 2, hitting .250. Inside and outside, and the count 2-1. 5 runs, 8 hits, 3 errors for the Giants, 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Cubs. Fouled away. Les Lancaster, who gave up that home run to Robbie Thompson in the 7th inning. 2-2. Fouled away again.
Down to the end of game 3, we still have not seen Matt Williams. It seems almost impossible that would happen. Granted, we had a couple of blowouts. Excuse me, Mitch Williams. There's Williams on the right, Paul Kilgus on the left.
Kennedy just fouling him away as Lancaster trying to keep the ball away, and the count 0-2. Williams has so much nervous energy, it's very hard for him to just stand around. In fact, people were shocked at Wrigley Field, Chicago. He was in the dressing room fully suited up 8 hours before the game. Strike 3 called. For Don Zimmer, it is a calculated gamble to use Lloyd McClendon behind the plate in a league championship game. McClendon has caught only 5 games all year. This is a tough time to break in a new pair of shoes.
Zimmer kind of forced to do it. Kennedy upset about the call. Turned, got a couple of words in, and then walked away. He knows that he needs 3 outs to win a ball game. He doesn't want to get the umpire behind home plate. Terry Tate upset at him because he's playing his cards. There's Kennedy. He wanted to bite his tongue there. He's very upset at the umpire about the strikeout pitch. And he's going to need an umpire who is not upset with him when he goes behind the plate.
Ken Oberkfell will be the batter for Craig Lefferts here in the 8th inning. Oberkfell has been a magician for the Giants. Oberkfell, coming off the bench, had 18 pinch hits this year. 0 for 2 in the league championship series, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. On deck, Jose Uribe. 1-1. 0-2. If you're not keeping score and you'd like to look ahead, it would be Les Lancaster's spot to lead off, then Jerome Walton and Ryne Sandberg in the 9th inning.
Delay a game out there. There's been some sort of emergency vehicle that has come in from center field.
White background would really hurt the hitter. Fouled away. So they're moving it to make sure that the hitter is not trying to pick up a baseball.
There you can see the background. Nice and green, so hitters get a nice clear view of what the pitcher is throwing.
That sounded like a pitcher talking.
You noticed that, huh?
Fouled away down the left field line, out of play. So it's still 2-2 to Ken Oberkfell.
Remember the old days when they used to have the center field bleachers and the people out there in the white shirts and stuff? How in the world did the hitters do that?
Eddie Murray this year requested the Dodgers to keep certain seats empty in the bleachers, and they've been playing ball in there since 1962. 2-2. High fly ball. It's playable. Jerome Walton is calling. 2 down. The Oberkfell, a fly ball to center, and Jose Uribe the batter. And of course, we're not only kidding about it, because if you are at home plate trying to hit a baseball that's coming over 90 miles an hour, you need all the help you can get, and the least you can get is a good background. Here's Uribe, who had an infield single, flied to right. That's when Dawson made the tumbling catch and fouled out to Sandberg. So he's 1 for 3. 2 out, bottom of the 8th. Giants 5, Cubs 4. Up the middle, Sandberg backhands, off balance throw, got him easily. Nice play, and the Giants go quietly in the 8th. So they're coming up in the 9th. A hitter for Lancaster, Walton and Sandberg, with the Giants leading the Cubs 5-4. We go to the 9th inning at Candlestick. 5-4 Giants, and Steve Bedrosian against pinch hitter Mitch Webster. Ball 1. Bedrock, as they call him, trying to hold on to the 5-4 lead in the 9th. Webster batting for Lancaster. Now back. The Giants have used 5 pitchers: Lacoste, Brantley, Robinson, Lefferts, and now Bedrosian. The Cubs use Sutcliffe, Assenmacher, and Lancaster. So you had the best road club in the National League against the best home club in the National League, and the home club is leading. The bunt pushed to Williams. He'll shoot him down. One away. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Terry O'Neill, the coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage, and the producer of tonight's game, John J. Filippelli. Directed by Andy Rosenberg, replay producer Tom Roy, Replay director Roy Alpers. Pregame produced by Les Dennis. Directed by Doug Grabert. Technical director Marilyn Altman. Facilities technical director Ken Harvey. 1 out, 9th inning. 5-4 San Francisco. Ball 1 to Jerome Walton. He is 0 for 3. Ball 2. In fact, looking at Walton, he is 0 for 4. You remember he tried to bunt and hit that line drive bunt that was speared by Will Clark, who tried to double off Sutcliffe, and the ball got by Uribe. On the corner, 2-1.
Both Zimmer and Craig have had to use at least 3 pitchers in each of the ball games so far, going to their bullpen frequently. The thing is that Roger has managed it beautifully, ends up with Bedrosian here.
Ground ball to third. Matt Williams on that one. With 2 out in the 9th inning and Ryan Sandberg coming up. Let's go to Mike Schmidt for a final comment.
Well, Vinny, if I could be permitted a second guess here, I'd say the key to this ball game was when Sutcliffe was taken out. Not so much that he would have gotten the Giants out, but that Zim elected to start off the inning with Ossenmacher at this point. A couple of right-handed hitters. Butler got the base hit. Rather than bringing Les Lancaster in and giving him a little freedom to pitch, they seem to continually bring in their best middle reliever with the heat on. Back to you.
So Don Zimmer has Ryan Sandberg trying to keep the door open. Sandberg is 1 for 3 with a scoring fly ball. Breaking ball in the dirt. Now remember when he got that scoring fly ball in the 7th inning, he had gotten breaking balls, and then Robinson gave him an 0-2 fastball, and Sandberg hit it deep enough to center to pick up Maddox in the 7th. We'll see if he gets a fastball from Bedrosian. And that's another hard cutter, and the count 1-1.
Ball up in the strike zone, but right at the hitting zone, broke away from Sandberg. You're going to make a mistake here. You got to make it away. You can't give him something on the inside half of the plate to pull.
1-1. 1-2. Another breaking ball. The chances are Sandberg will not see a fastball from Bedrosian. Been a great game. The Cubs led, the Giants led, the Cubs led again, and the Giants lead. Breaking ball. 62,065, and they are on their feet here at Candlestick. Two and 2. Breaking ball. Ball 3. Hard stuff. Down and away. On deck, Dwight Smith. Sandberg trying to keep the Cubs afloat. Ball 4. All breaking balls. So Sandberg, who hit 30 home runs during the regular season, gets nothing but breaking balls out of the strike zone. And now it will be the rookie Dwight Smith coming up. Roger Craig, Norm Sherry, and Bob Lillis in the far corner of the Giant dugout.
Meetings going on in the dugout, meetings going on the mound. Clark and Kennedy both out to talk to Bedrosian. Remind him that Sandberg, good speed at first base. With Zim, you never know. There's a big hole between Clark and Thompson on the right side.
When Dwight Smith arrived here in San Francisco before his first big league game, he was greeted by flowers and congratulation balloons. The senders were Mr. and Mrs. Mark Grace. He hits a high fly ball to Kevin Mitchell. That's it. There'll be no flowers tonight for Dwight Smith, but there are high fives in San Francisco as the Giants go 2-1 by winning the first of 3 here. Robinson the winner, Lancaster the loser. The big home run by Robbie Thompson. A save to Bedrosian, and we'll be back.
Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Stroh's, fire brewed, family brewed for more than 200 years. By Goodyear. When it comes to tires and auto service, nobody fits you like Goodyear. By the companies of the Prudential. Come to the Prudential and build your future on the rock. And by Howard Johnson, chosen by road warriors as the place that gets them ready for the road.
A reminder tomorrow, join NBC Sports at 12:30 Eastern for NFL Live. The LA Raiders, the news, O.J. Simpson going behind the scenes of team headline on a special report. Then it'll be Buffalo's Machine Gun Kelly and the Hoosiers' Eric Dickerson in the Dome. The Colts looking to even it up in the AFC East. Plus regional action, and we suggest you check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Well, what happens when push comes to shove? The best road club in the National League, the Chicago Cubs, the best home team in the National League, the Giants, and Candlestick Park didn't figure at all. There was no wind, there were no problems.
That was an amazing thing about it. You expect the wind to blow here. It was absolutely a gorgeous night in San Francisco. Continuing the high-scoring games, we've had 3 games, 2-1. Of course, the Giants ahead, 28 runs for tonight, 9 more, makes it 37. The pitching has been very mediocre, to say the least. Rick Sutcliffe, a pretty good job tonight. The Giants come out ahead, even though they'd make 3 errors. They get the big home run out of Thompson, the big blow. Again, the pitching very shaky. A lot of pitches up in the strike zone, a lot of very hittable pitches.
And the other thing, neither team came into the league championship series with what you would call a strong pitching staff.
Right.
And now it's been slightly decimated by injury. You had Mike Lacoste leaving because of his bad knee. Don Robinson is very, very questionable, even though he pitched tonight. Craig Lefferts with a sore shoulder, and we still have to wait and find out about the condition of Rick Sutcliffe.
It's a condition of 2 pitching staffs not having a guy like an Oral Hershiser, a Saberhagen, a Clemens, or a Goodwin. Good, and they have those 2 pitchers that are just a notch under. Not that they won't get there, but they don't have those real top-notch guys.
Well, tomorrow, Scotty Garrelts, who won 14, he'll be going against Greg Maddux in Game 4. And a big day tomorrow, first with football, then Game 5 in the American League, Oakland versus Toronto. That'll be 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the Giants and the Cubs at 8 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night in Game 4. I'd like to remind you to stay tuned for local news, followed by Saturday Night Live, except on the West Coast and Mountain Time, where they'll be seen at their regular time. So a big day tomorrow. It was a big night tonight. Now for Tom Seaver, this is Vin Scully saying so long from Candlestick Park, where the Giants beat the Cubs 5-4, and we look forward to being with you tomorrow for Game 4 of the National League Championship Series from San Francisco. Good night, everybody.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC Sports.